Hello everyone, Juicebags here, and welcome back to Season 3 of Minecraft Tekkit, this one for 1.6.4. Now I wanted to start Episode 2 after I've already built up a little bit, hence the delay, but also the Technic, the Tekkit mod pack itself has just been furiously updating constantly. As it's still in beta, there's still a lot of bugs with it. One of the biggest bugs for me, really, right off the gate, since I'm playing a survival series, was equivalent exchange isn't working. So, of course, it wouldn't be a Juicebags tower if it wasn't made of sandstone. I love that chiseled sandstone. However, I'm too lazy, and without equivalent exchange, I have not been able to get enough sandstone to get things going, so I just went on with the birch, and I'll do a major renovation later on. Now, as you see, I've got quite a few objects in place. I'm choosing fish as my main source of food. In fact, let me get a little bit more fish cooked up, and I've got a power supply going, and that's really what I wanted to cover this episode, is some of the changes to thermal expansion. There has been some not necessarily drastic, but some pretty big changes for sure. Now why is that one not going up? Oh, I'm out of coal. I got to get out to the quarry and get the ME network filled up with coal. As you see, I do have some power in play, and as I mentioned, and as you see the ME cable, I do have an ME network up. I got a power suit. Power suits were another one of the things that were bugged out. The last episode of Tekkit, in fact, was Tekkit, was it 1.2.0, Tekkit 1.2.0, and you couldn't build a power suit. Luckily, they got that fixed, and now the recipes are all in and good to go. However, equivalent exchange being down did hurt substantially. Now let's get on to thermal expansion. One of the biggest changes in thermal expansion is there are the different tiers of, say, energy cells. Leadstone, hardened. I'm using the traditional redstone energy cell. And then there's actually a new one above that. I can't remember what it's called. I can't make those yet. See, it is the resonant energy cell. What's it take to make those guys? Enderium ingots. Which, how do you make enderium? I haven't looked at that yet. Pyrotheum dust. I'll have to look all that stuff up later. Anyway, that's the top tier, is that resonant energy cell. Now, I say that's the biggest change. That's nowhere near the biggest change. The biggest change is the energy production now is RF, which stands for redstone flux. Now, most of the machines, the BDCraft machines, are working with it, and it's not really an issue. It's been pretty much good to go. The redstone flux, let's see, this one's not generating at all right now. It says it. Oh, because we're out of coal, that's right. Redstone flux, 10 redstone flux would be 1 BDCraft MJ. So we look at this redstone energy cell here, we see the max output is 2000 RF per tick. So in BDCraft power, that would be 200 MJs per tick, which is double the output of the old redstone energy cells, which is awesome. You can get a little more power out of them. I haven't really had an issue at all with the RF. Now, there's some question right now with power generation of whether or not atomic science is going to be included in the mod. There was talk on the forums yesterday and today about removing that completely, because we've got the newer mod, big reactors, which, from what I've looked into so far, I still have yet to build one in creative mode, but what I've looked into so far, they're much more efficient than some of the atomic science power. So excited to get one of those going. But as we see, I chose steam. You see we got the steam dynamo going. Now, another thing you'll notice there, the old steam engine, the maximum power output was 4 MJs per tick. Now the maximum power output is 80 RF per tick, which of course is 8 MJs, which is double the power output that they used to bring up, which is awesome. Now, I did it the old way with the aqueous accumulator down below and the infinite water supply pumping up. However, you can pump steam directly into these guys. There's a question of whether or not that works, and of course how efficient that would be, especially if you're using some atomic science to create your steam. But that's one way to get it done. Now I'm storing energy here in let's get to the energy cells. As I mentioned, there are lower tiers now. See, I started off with leadstone and hardened energy cells, as they're made pretty easy, and you can make those without using any machines. They're craftable right in the crafting table, which is awesome. Hardened energy cell would be with Invar ingots. Now, I would encourage anyone, as soon as you get to the point where you have machines built, to just make the redstone energy cells, because they're way better. They're not as good as the resonance, of course, but they are substantially better. And of course, you just need a magma crucible and a fluid transposer, and you can start making the redstone stuff. Now, same thing with the cable. You see, I've got some leadstone energy circuits still here. I did go right to the redstone as soon as I could, but the leadstone energy circuits are cables that can be made, once again, without any machines. So that's a good way to get started up for your wiring, and really it's the way to go. Now, as I mentioned, as soon as you do get power generated and get some machines built, get the redstone stuff in. It'll do you a huge favor. Now, of course, ME terminals, using the quartz cutting knife, you can make your ME setup without having to use any machines. And what else did I want to mention? Mainly, that's the big difference right now, is thermal expansion. Well, let me get these fishes cooking here. I got plenty of furnaces set up, and I did set up one hopper over at this other one going into the pulverizer. But one of the things that has hurt, and I say to me was the biggest thing, was the equivalent exchange not functioning, which it still doesn't. And we're on 1.2.4 Tekkit now. So it actually was updated twice today. It was 1.2.2 yesterday, and it went to 2.3 and 2.4 today. So, I mean, they've been furiously working on it. And I'm hoping they get equivalent exchange up, because I have done some Enderman farming, and of course, without access to the end, that can be a pretty big pain in the ass. So as soon as equivalent exchange is working, I'll be able to make more tesseracts, as you need to get your, what's that stuff called? Resonant ender. You need to get that, your ender pearls melted down into some resonant ender, and as you see, I don't have very much. I've used a little bit of it already, but I need to get to the point where I can just make massive amounts of resonant ender at will. And I do have a quarry going as well, but without having the tesseracts, I'm having to run out to it and get stuff going in chests, which is just irritating. Now, another change, you would think that this one is going to be changed, but right now, no matter which, I'm using the steam dynamos, of course, which are relatively simple to make. Important thing to note with the steam dynamos is you can use the copper ingots from thermal expansion or BDCraft to make those guys, which is awesome. Anyway, the thing to note is all of the dynamos. Let's look at the types of those again. It's basically everything was switched over from steam, or from the engines. So we got a magmatic dynamo, which of course is from the magmatic engines. We got a compression dynamo, which can use fuel or oil. And then we got a reactant dynamo, which I have not, fluid fuel and solid reactant. So that's going to be some sort of nuclear type thing. That I'm not sure how that works yet. However, the important thing to note is all the dynamos produce the same amount of power, which is their maximum power is 80 RF per tick. So it doesn't matter which ones you use. I went with the steam because it's easiest to get started, in my opinion, just with the water and the coal, or water and wood. You can use any sort of fuel source that you want. See, that one's still got a bunch of coal. I'm going to throw that into one of the empty ones. He's got a bunch of coal too. Till I can get back out to the quarry, I'm sure I have stacks and stacks of coal sitting in chests. Of course, using the Sphax Pure BDCraft texture pack, I will for the whole series. And the last thing I wanted to cover with thermal expansion is the new setup of the cells themselves. Now, as we see, this is the leadstone energy cell, which is the bottom of the barrel of the energy cells. But if you notice, they now have inputs and outputs. So, blue is input, where energy will be flowing into the energy cell. Orange is out. So if you need to have your power going out, that is unlike the old ways, and had me completely clueless for about 5 minutes or so once I first started placing energy cells. But as you see, I've got the energy cells charging off these steam dynamos, but I have it looping around. That way they'll all get charged, and it has the capability of filling all 5 of those. And that's providing me just more than enough power to power my ME network and all my stuff. Now the ME network is still, we're using 22 units per tick, and that is, I actually believe that's the industrial craft number. That would be 22 EUs. So that's like, what, 10 or 12 MJs or something along those lines, which would be about 100 RFs. So we've got way more power than what we're needing, considering we've got a 400 output or 400 RF production right now when it's going at maximum. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. I am really hoping they get the equivalent exchange fixed soon, because I want to get everything up to speed with where I was. I don't want to show building the same machines that I've done in the last 2 series over again and bore everyone to tears. I want to get to some fun stuff. So I'm trying to get this stuff knocked out as quick as I can and get up to speed. But right now I'm going at the speed of the mod pack creators, which they're still, as I mentioned, they're working hard on it. They're putting out updates like crazy. It's just still not 100% yet. But anyway, so thanks for watching. Click that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, as that is my primary source of social media. So if you want to stay completely up to speed with what's going on the channel, check me out on Twitter. Thanks again.